apuraya,
apuryaya,
without end,
without end,
one after another.
one after another,
Karmani,
karmani,
activities.
activities,
Karyamana,
karyamanaha,
constantly being compelled to perform.
constantly being compelled to perform. Aham,
Aham, I.
I,
Nanayonishu,
nanayonishu,
in various forms of life.
in various forms of life.
Yojita,
Yojita,
engaged in the struggle
engaged in the struggle
for
for
existence.
existence.
Translation: because of insatiable material desires, I was being carried away by the waves of material nature's laws, and thus I was engaging in different activities, struggling for existence in various forms of life. Repeat after me. Because of insatiable material desires,
Because of insatiable material desire,
I was being carried away
I was being carried away
by the waves of material nature's
by
laws,
the waves of material nature's laws,
and thus I was engaging
and thus I was engaging
in different
in
activities,
different activities,
struggling for existence
struggling for existence
in various forms of life.
in various forms of life.
Prabhupada's purport: as long as the living entity wants to fulfill various types of material desire, he must continuously change from one body to accept another. Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur explains that as a small piece of grass falls in a river and is tossed about with different types of wood and tree branches, the living entity floats in the ocean of material existence and is dashed and tossed amidst material conditions. This is called the struggle for existence. One kind of fruitive activity causes the living being to take one form of body, and because of actions performed in that body, another body is created. One must therefore stop these material activities, and the chance to do so is given in the human form of life. Specifically, our energy to act should be engaged in the service of the Lord, for then the materialistic activities will automatically stop. One must fulfill one's desires by surrendering unto the Supreme Lord, for He knows how to fulfill them. Even though one may have material desires, one should therefore engage in the devotional service of the Lord. That will purify one's struggle for existence. Akama sarva kamova moksha kama udaradi tivrena bhakti yogena yajeta purusham param. A person who has broader intelligence, whether he be full of all material desire, without any material desire, or desiring liberation, must by all means worship the Supreme Whole, the personality of Godhead. Srimad Bhagavatam 2.3.10. Anyabhilashitachanyam Gyanakarma Janavitam Anukuyena Krishnanu Shilanam Bhaktir Uttama. One should render transcendental loving service to the Supreme Lord Krishna favorably and without desire for material profit or gain through fruitive activities or philosophical speculation. That is called pure devotional service. Bhakti-rasamrita Sindhu 1.1.11. Om again Anandasya Gananjana Shalakaya Chakshun Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. So this is a very basic uh, verse, very straightforward as usual. Uh, why are we? Why do we take one being, one body after another, and why are we carried away by the waves of material nature? Once you're in the river, like the first time I went to Mayapur, I went in the Ganga, and I was not a very strong swimmer, so I almost got carried away down the Ganga, and who knows what would have happened. I could have left my body in that way. But somebody caught me, one of the other devotees caught me and pulled me back. But the point is that once you're in the river or the ocean, and it's so much more powerful than you are, then you're helpless. You just get dragged along. You can't swim away. You can't get to shore. You can't save yourself, and you're helpless. So that's the position of every living entity who comes into the material ocean of repeated birth and death. They're helplessly pulled from. You have to act, so you're put into one material body after another, and according to your activities in one life, you get a body in the next life, and you're forced to act in so many sinful ways. And whether it's sinful or pious, the living entity is forced to act. Nobody can be still or stop acting even for a moment, where the soul is active by nature. So, because Krishna is active by nature, and we're part and parcel of Krishna, so we're active by nature. Even in your sleep, the subtle material body is active, and certainly as soon as you wake up from sleep, you have to start doing something. You can't. Sometimes people just lay in bed, but even then they have to do something, go on their phone or watch television, or at least they have to be active in their mind, doing something. You can't stop act. You can't stop doing something even for a moment. So, and those activities, whether on the mental platform, subtle platform, or the gross platform, just acting it out with your body. You think about, oh, what do I got to do today? And then you get up and you start doing, taking whatever steps you need to do something. So, and those steps, those activities cause further bondage and lead to one body after another. You're helpless, and but not never hopeless, because Krishna is always there in the background and in the foreground and in the heart of every living entity. And Krishna is always trying to help us come back home, back to Him. So we're never completely helpless or hopeless, but but for all intents and purposes, from our point of view, the conditioned soul's point of view, we are hopeless and helpless in the material world, going from one body to another. And yeah, Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur gives the example of a small piece of grass falls in a river and is tossed about with the different energies, different types of wood and tree branches. Living entity floats in the ocean of material existence and is dashed and tossed amidst the material conditions. Yeah, so not only are you in the ocean or the river, but you're constantly being beaten. The trees are crashing into you, and branches, and you're being dragged under by the current, the waves. So not on, yeah. So that's the material energy. So especially material energy is relentlessly beating us. But yeah, but because let's see, one must therefore stop these material activities, and the chance to do so is given in the human form of life. I remember before meeting the devotees, I was the same way, being tossed about, thinking I was in control of my life, but not knowing what to do, certainly, and not knowing that I wasn't in control of my life, but just being bashed about by the material energy, suffering in many ways, and then I met the devotees, and then then you come to the temple, and then you're still active. As soon as I came to the temple, the devotees had me start chanting Hare Krishna, and washing pots, and listening to Prabhupada lectures, and having prasadam with the devotees, and just you're still active. you have to, you're doing something, and but those activities are transcendental activities. And Prabhupada often says that the materialist, he sees the activities of the devotee, and he sees, oh, they're doing what we're doing. They're working, they're washing pots. I'm washing pots. They're sweeping the floor. I'm sweeping the floor. They're going out to a job, they're singing and dancing. I'm going to my job. I sing and dance. When I get drunk in the bar, I sing and dance. But I do all kinds of things too. They're doing the same thing I'm doing. But Prabhupada, he makes the point, and it's the crucial demarcation between the spiritual life and the material life. We are spiritual entities, but we're borderline. We're tatasta shakti, so we can be engaged in material pursuits and be bound by the material energy, or we can, when we get the opportunity, when after how many births and deaths, we don't know, but finally we get the opportunity to engage in devotional service, and then we have a choice. Up to the point of meeting the devotees, you don't have a choice. You can only choose material activities, and by some good fortune, by you might get some, you get some agata sukriti. Sometime you're walking in Copley Square or Times Square, or wherever, whatever city, Trafalgar Square, and you see the devotees chanting Hare Krishna. You hear the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra, and whether you like it or don't like it, just walk by or stop and pay attention for a little while. Or some people walk by and some people start to dance a little bit, or sometimes start to dance a lot. But anyway, they get everyone. There's a chance to get some agata sukriti, some beginning in devotional service. But by and large, the devotee has no choice in what they do, and very little opportunity for Krishna conscious life. But once you do, then, and once you have some understanding of the why the devotees are chanting, and get a Bhagavad Gita or a Perfection of Yoga or some kind, one of Prabhupada's books, and you read a little bit, then all of a sudden you have a choice. Everyone is intelligent. I always make this point, and don't underestimate the intelligence of the conditioned soul. You may think, oh, he's just a foolish conditioned soul. What can he understand of the Krishna conscious philosophy? But he won't be able to understand it. But you'd be surprised. Everyone, don't underestimate people's intelligence. As soon as they read even a little bit of any one of Prabhupada's books, they can very, very quickly understand what it's about. They read a line, you should surrender to Krishna. Your duty in life is to serve the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Chant Hare Krishna. Krishna is present in the sound vibration of his holy name. And by associating with Krishna, you can get out of material entanglement and go back home, back to Godhead. The people do understand, and they may not like it, but they understand it. I'm entangled, the entanglement of material existence, and people can read that and they'll say, and they'll think within themselves, they'll say, yes, I'm entangled. And, oh, Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. I should chant the holy names of the Lord. I can understand that. and I can do it. And maybe I should do it. Maybe I will do it. And anyways, yeah, don't underestimate people's intelligence. Don't think that people can't understand. Everyone is a pure spirit soul, part and parcel of Krishna, and their intelligence is coming directly from Krishna, and so they will understand. And once you understand something, then Krishna, then you have a choice. Well, I could do this. I could go to the baseball game and cheer for the Red Sox, or I could go to the temple. I have a choice. Before that, you don't have a choice. You can only choose to go to the Red Sox game. But once you know, then you have a choice. So we live in the temple, and it's not that we're robots, or as the anti-cultists said in the 70s. They said, "Oh, the devotees are zombies. They're brainwashed." Zombie means you have no ability to choose what to do. You can only you're like a machine, like a robot. They said the devotees are zombies. They're brainwashed. They can't choose not to do what they're told to do by their guru, by their temple authority. They can't choose not to do that because they're brainwashed and zombies. But we always, but we're not like that. We're here in the temple for many years, or for so many years, and we're choosing every moment of every day. We're never forced to get up in the morning to go to Mangalartik. We're never forced to chant Hare Krishna. We're never forced to wash the pots. We're never forced to stay in the temple. We're choosing day by day, moment by moment, second by second, to surrender to Krishna. So we're doing it, and we're doing it voluntarily. And then our activities are no longer material activities. They're spiritual activities. Is Krishna consciousness. Prabhupada chose the words purposely. The only difference between the life of the materialist and the life of the transcendentalist is the consciousness. The why are we doing what we're doing? Who are we doing what we're doing for? Is only a matter of consciousness. Of course, there's so many things that we used to do we won't do anymore, or we'll do them in a Krishna conscious way. But basically, the only real change, the basis of every change that we make in our life is the consciousness. Who are we doing? Who are we living for? Who are we trying to please? Why are we doing what we're doing? And it's a choice every moment of every day. And so the devotees are choosing to be devotees. And that's the value of the human form of life, that in this human form of life you can choose to be a devotee and go back home, back to Godhead. And specifically, our energy to act should be engaged in the service of the Lord, for then the material activities will automatically stop. Our activities are not material anymore. Our activities are spiritual. Let's see. One must fulfill one's desires by surrendering unto the Supreme Lord, for he knows how to fulfill them. Even though one may have material desires, one should therefore engage in the devotional service of the Lord. That will purify one's struggle for existence. Akama sarva kamo va moksha kam utaradi tivrena bhakti yogena pariyajeta purusham param. person who has broader intelligence, whether he be full of all material desires without any material desire, or desiring liberation, must by all means worship the Supreme Whole, the personality of Godhead. Bhagavatam 2.3.10. Anyway, Prabhupada uses this phrase very frequently, the struggle for existence. So it's like just to live in the material world is a struggle. People, you have to just to live, just to have a place to sleep, just to have something to eat, just to have the minimum basics of life. No matter what species it is, the animals are struggling. The human beings are definitely struggling. It's hard to live. The struggle for existence. It's not hard to live. We will live one way or the other, and we do live eternally. We're pure spirit soul. But when you have a material body and material desires, then it becomes a big struggle just to live. And yeah, and Prabhupada, of course, makes this point very frequently that if you have material desire, everyone has material desires. All the devotees are coming out of millions of births in the material world with plenty of material desires. So the material desires are there, and the material contaminations are there in the heart. We're not pure devotees. Pure devotee doesn't have all that, but we do. So the neophyte devotees do, those in practice of Krishna consciousness. It's okay. It's understood. You're going to be like that. It's like if you go to learn some discipline from anyone, art or music or whatever, martial arts or whatever it is, the teacher knows when you come to him, he knows you're not going to be good at what you're doing. You can't do what you're supposed to do. He'll try to get you to use your fingers or your arms or your brain in a certain way for the art or the discipline. And he'll say that, oh, you didn't do it right. So he'll say, you didn't do it right. And he'll say the 10th time, he'll say, you didn't do it right. And the 100th time, he'll say, you messed up again. But he won't stop trying to get you to do it right, and eventually you'll do it right. But his experienced teacher knows that you don't know what you're doing when you come to him. So we come to Krishna with all kinds of problems, all kinds of material problems. He knows that. The spiritual master knows that. Prabhupada knew that when he came to the United States, he appreciated his disciples very much, and he considered his new disciple, brand new disciples. He considered them great souls. He considered them very nice devotees, but he knew they were, crazy people coming out of material life. He knew who he was dealing with. And it's the same today, whether in America or Africa or Russia or Australia or India. Even the spiritual master knows who he's dealing with. He knows devotees are not perfect, but it's okay. Just come. We can work on that. We'll work on that together. I'll help you. I'll engage you in Krishna conscious activities and chanting my holy name, and you'll become purified of all those things. That's the whole point of preaching in the material world, to purify us of the obvious problems and obvious material desires that are there. And the process of Krishna consciousness is 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 unconditionally um, effective. You can't, the process of Krishna purification and Krishna consciousness cannot not be effective. It's like if you go in the shower and you're dirty, you can't help but get wet and get clean. You're gonna get wet and you're gonna get clean. You stay in the shower. So Krishna consciousness is it is always effective. Yeah, I was just thinking of one, just one, this is a quick other thing. The other day that, in the beginning, in the early Krishna consciousness, when all the devotees were American, was people. Is I always make the point where we didn't think of Krishna consciousness as Indian religion. If anything, we thought of it more as uh, a really cool American religion. Because I mean, Prabhupada was obviously Indian, but everybody else was American. It's pronounced Sanskrit with an American accent, and we beat the drum, but American rock and roll beats and things like that.
In India also, that Vrindavan temple, they would say Angrez ka mandir.
What?
Angrez means it's English. It's a temple of English people.
Oh,
In India also it was known like that.
not anymore, probably. Is
Yeah. During those in my childhood also I'd hear like that.
uh,
It's English English temple.
Even I heard that.
yeah, well, I mean, it's good to a certain extent. It's okay, but I mean that's. But of course, we're not Indian. We're not American. We're not. I heard the other day from a couple. I was talking to a couple of friends, Indian friends, and they say Gori is like a critical, like a name for a white person. And he said if you're with some Indians and you hear them use the word Gori, you know they're talking about you. Okay, so I got to watch out for that when I'm with you. If I hear you speaking in Hindi and you say Gori, I'll know you're talking about me. Anyway, so and then Prabhupada quotes one of the most frequently quoted verses by Prabhupada, Anyabhilasha Shunyam Gana Karma Janavitam Anukuyena Krishnanu Shilanam Bhakti Uttama. One should render transcendental loving service to the Supreme Lord Krishna favorably and without desire for material profit or gain through fruitive activities or philosophical speculation. That is called pure devotional service. And of course, that gets to the essence of everything we do here. And when you really, I mean, it's pretty easy to understand. The language is clear, the concepts are clear, uh, without any fruitive activities or philosophical speculation. But the meaning is, as in every all of Krishna's words and in all the Srimad Bhagavatam, the meaning is extremely deep and demanding. No fruitive you mean no fruitive activities? Nothing? You need no mental speculation, no philosophical speculation, nothing. It's incredibly strict and demanding, but that's the process that we're engaged in. There is only one person that we worship. Well, we worship the spiritual master. All the devotees are worshipful, but it's all based on and centered around worship of Krishna. We only have one person thing to talk about every day, all day, and That's why the materialists think so. Spiritual life is just too demanding. There's only one uh, a person to please, and it's not me, and it's every day, all the time, eternally, and that's what people think. Oh, that's that's real. That's it's extreme. We're the ultimate extremists there could ever be. We all own, and of course Prabhupada was the perfect example of that. To anyone who is with him, all his disciples who spent time with him, they will say, and they do say, no, he never did anything or talked about anything other than Krishna and surrendering to Krishna and practical things in relationship to the service of Krishna. He never, over the course of from 1966 to 1977, he never did anything else or talked about anything else. So he's the perfect example of that. So that's how demanding Krishna consciousness is for us. Okay, so I better stop there. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Anything, questions or comments? Okay, all glories to Srila Prabhupada.